One of the things that I do very often while I'm producing radio or TV uh, commercials, I have to do what my clients call my magic. They usually, and this is something that's really common, I'll get a voiceover that's probably 3, 4, 5 seconds too long. And here's what happens is, the client or the business, it's writing the commercial. They're going to try to sneak as much information as they can in. But the problem is, if it's only a 30-second radio commercial, it has to be 30 seconds, especially if it's going to multiple stations or nationwide. So it's got to be 30. It's kind of a spec, right? But what happens is you got two options. You can either speed up the voiceover, which anybody who has been watching my videos knows my goal and my main drive is to make sure that the listener receives the message well and receives the marketing message. You want it to be clear. If you ramble really fast through something or you just throw away particular lines, this is your branding. This is your marketing. It would be like a billboard on the freeway using too small print for your entire message, right? People would go by and they wouldn't understand it, wouldn't retain it. But when you're doing marketing and you're spending thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars a month for some clients on TV and radio, the message has to be clear, it has to be compelling, and it has to be understandable. So I don't want to do that. I don't want the voiceover talent to be speeding through the copy. So there's a balance. So, a few seconds over what needs to be there is okay, and they have me do my little trick. I kind of go through and do some things to make it still sound normal, still sound like normal speech, still sound intelligible, but make it under that mark. Then if you have a jingle like we do here that has the music bed, and then at the end there's a little sing, the jingle at the end, that reduces it even more. So you can see here's my problem. The sing starts, this is the music bed in the green, the blue is the voiceover, and I'm gonna go through my process here to make sure this fits without having to ask the voiceover guy to recut it. Usually they'll give me a couple different reads if it's a one-off, but this is a regular client of mine who does this voice work monthly. So you could see that, the last 3-4 seconds of this, it's too long because the sing starts right here. So this has to be finished, but we have to do it I have to do it in a way that it doesn't sound like it's speeding up artificially. We still want regular speech. So here's what I do. I'm going to walk through my process so you can see. The first thing I'm going to do is just kind of tighten up. I bring this into my editor. I'm working in Logic again, as many of you know. That's my favorite DAW to work in for commercial broadcast and audio editing. So I'm going to just catch the first breath and make sure we clip off the front here so we're not wasting any space. And then I'm going to have the volume envelope kind of ramp up so it's nice and smooth. Should probably play this so you can hear a little bit of what we're dealing with. First, here's his voice.
Find your new VW today the friendly way with Bob Baker Volkswagen Carlsbad.
I'll also say this, that many of my voiceover talents that send me audio footage, many of them have home studios, many of them are amateurs, many of them do other day jobs, and that's a pretty common thing, right? Anybody can set up a pretty good studio in their home for not too much money, but, there's the difference between the pros and the amateurs and then even just the beginners. But as you can see and hear on this, there's a lot of room noise. He didn't, at this point when he sent this to me, this is back from 2017, he hadn't, upon my suggestion, he hadn't treated his room correctly yet. So there's some echo in there and you can hear some of the room ambience, but we can optimize it. It's still workable. It's not the best, but it's still workable. And we constantly were working on trying to get it to be better quality. And he has improved since then, but you can see that it's not a vocal booth and it's not in $1 million studio. So that's the voice. And then here's the music bed. Take a listen to it. And then at the end, there's a little sing. So the sing starts right here. So I got to get rid of all that time. I have to make sure that the voiceover wraps up by this point in the project. And then the whole thing has to be done and ramped down by 30 because that's what it has to be, 30 seconds. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Go back to my voiceover track and
Find your new VW.
I'll take a look here. Here's something that happens because I've been doing this for such a long time. I can tell you right here, that's a breath right there. I can tell you that's a breath. I'm going to take that out. So basically the first round I do is go through and take out the breath. So I grab my scissor tool, and there's multiple ways to do this, but this is what I'm used to doing.
Carlsbad.
Okay, I got that breath. And check out what I'm doing here. I'm going to cut right after the breath, and I want to leave a little space. I'm still going to leave a little space there, otherwise it doesn't sound natural. So let's hear what that's like.
Volkswagen Carlsbad. Right now, Bob.
I'll put a little back in.
Volkswagen Carlsbad. Right now.
And we'll ramp it up. The volume envelope on either side so it doesn't quit so abruptly.
Volkswagen Carlsbad. Right now, Bob.
Still a little long, or still a little abrupt, but we can come back to that one. So I'm going to keep on cutting these. I may go through and cut all of them. I can see
Jetta.
There's one there. I want to get and we got to work on the consonants, and we'll talk about that too. There's also places where there's no breath that you may be able to save some space. So basically what I'm doing, I'm economizing. Is that a word? I'm trying to take out all the extra space that's not completely and totally necessary.
Years.
And, every voice talent is different. That's one. That looks like one there, and then we'll chop off the end. So let's see what we got here. So I'm able to take a little time off this whole thing when you add it all up.
APR financing on new 27.
APR financing. And also you kind of, after a while, you get good at knowing where the breaths are. You get to know the particular voice talent.
APR financing on new.
And, the music.
APR financing on new.
The music bed masks some of this stuff.
Or Jetta.
And again, it's a balance, right? Yes, it's not perfect. Yes, if somebody's listening very, extremely closely, they're going to hear the edit. Yes, but it's all a balance. I got to get these words in. I got to deliver it back to my client on time to make sure it gets on air, on TV or radio or wherever it's going to be before the schedule starts. And there's a lot of things. It's usually quality versus time you're working with constantly. So I want to get this done. I want to get it under the correct parameters, and I want to deliver it on time. So
German engineer Jetta Passat.
Okay, we can clip off a little bit more of that breath.
Or Jetta Passat Golf.
I usually feel
Golf TDI.
If you leave a little space and take out the breath, it sounds pretty natural.
And Golf Sport Wagon models on approved credit.
And I want to also make sure I like to keep the last consonant in there. But you could see, a little bit goes a long way. We're saving
models on.
We're cutting here and there, saving some time.
Approved credit. Visit Bob Baker VW for the most.
Sure, nobody talks this way. Nobody can go 30 seconds without taking a breath, especially with its excited speech, right, when you're selling something.
Models on approved credit. Visit Bob Baker VW for the most laid-back sales experience with the family name you've trusted.
And so I'm going through this whole thing to save half a second here, a quarter of a second there.
With the family name you've trusted for over 35 years.
Get those last S's, 35 years. I want that S in there. So it's, again, makes sense. It's a clear message still.
35 years. It's Bob Baker Volkswagen Carlsbad.
We'll get the D from the Carlsbad. I want to keep that in there.
Carlsbad or N.
We'll round off the edges with a volume envelope.
In Carlsbad or any time at Bob.
A lot of times you could just kind of overlap too, and the Logic automatically will put a crossfade in there.
Anytime at bobbakervw.com.
I want to get the last M, even though that might not come through over the music bed. So, but let's just take a look and see if we got pretty close here. So we saved a lot. I like to quality control. I'll go through and sit back in my chair and pretend I'm in traffic somewhere listening on the radio and see how much each of these edits bug me. And if they bug me too much, I'll go back and fix it. Again, working against the clock. I want to make sure this gets done. I don't want it to be perfect. It can't be perfect. Otherwise, I'd have him, we'd have him rewrite the copy if it was going to be exactly the right time. But we gotta appease a bunch of different gods here. So
Find your new VW today.
so I'll go just listen to the edits.
Volkswagen Carlsbad. Right now, financing on new 27 Jetta, Passat, Golf, near Jetta, Passat, Golf TDI on approved credit. Visit for a family name you've trusted for over 30 years. It's Bob or any Volkswagen Carlsbad or any time at Bob.
The only one that bugs me is this first one, so I'm going to just put a little more space in there. And I've been known to copy breaths from one sentence and put them on a different one. As long as you want to make it sound natural.
Carlsbad. Right now,
Yeah, make that a little longer. That could be the problem, too.
Bob Baker has Volkswagen Carlsbad. Right now, Bob Baker has.
There we go. That sounds pretty good. So now let's listen to. Here's what I'm going to do. And this is a logic thing. You could do this in any DAW. I'm imagine, and I've worked in quite a few, and most of them have this. I always say all the DAWs are pretty much the same. The buttons are just in a different place. It's true. It's true. What I'll do is I'm going to listen to this and find out exactly how much time I still need to make up here. And then what I'll do is make this one file, and then we're going to time stretch it. And you can do that. The longer, this is a 30-second spot, the longer the spot, the more you could time stretch or compress something. I'll show you how to do that without it sounding odd. And we don't want it to, we want it to be transparent. We want people to have no idea that I had to do this magic behind the scenes here. So let's find out where that vocal is. I'll turn the jingle on.
It's Bob Baker Volkswagen Carlsbad or any time at Bob Baker VW.
Okay, so it starts right there just because I know the jingle.
I'm at bobbakervw.com. Bob Baker V.
All right, so I need, and I can do that. I know just from doing this, we could time compress that. I'm going to join this file, make it one big. Okay. All right, make it one big file. I lost you there. Here we go.
Or anytime at Bob Baker V.
And so I made this one file, and now I'm going to choose it, and I'm going to push Option. Sometimes I feel like turning on flex time helps that. It helps the quality of it, but I'm not sure. I got to look at the tutorials again to make sure. So I know I got to get this end around here somewhere. So I'm just going to, and that was. So what I did is when you do Option and grab the bottom corner, you could move it, and it basically keeps the pitch the same. It just smushes the samples. It takes out random sample points other than the audio that you don't miss. Unless you do it too much, then it starts getting, you start hearing the samples in there, and it distorts a little bit.
Find your new VW today the friendly way with Bob Baker Volkswagen Carlsbad or anytime at bobbakervw.com.
All right, maybe I think I could, I'm going to undo it, and I'm going to do it a little less.
.com.
Maybe a little more than that, so here's where I want to put my cursor there. Undo, and now I know right there.
At bobbakervw.com.
Okay, now this is not mixed. I would increase the volume of the vocal part. I would EQ, compress this whole thing, and that's a whole nother video that I do. Actually, I want to do because that's a question I get all the time. But this is what I referred to in the beginning of this video. This is the magic. I know I'm not patting myself on the back. I just have clients that say, Lenny, do your magic. If I send the spot to you, could you do your magic and get it to be in the right length? And they don't know how we did it. It's just it's using these little techniques in conjunction and use them together, where it's cutting the breaths out, doing the time stretch, and just getting it the right way and following some parameters. But that's pretty much it. So what I've successfully done is I have saved our sales executive at the radio or TV station from having to go back to the client and ask them to recut the copy or rewrite the copy. Then I've saved the voiceover guy from having to re-record the copy and send it again because it was too long the first time. And then I've saved myself some time. Time is money, and everybody is happy when they say, Lenny will do it right the first time. And that's ultimately what you want. And again, my major goal through this entire thing, you should always remember, is the bottom line is when you're producing creative content, anything for marketing, even if it's for your own fan brand page, the idea is your priority should be that the message has to come through clearly. I'm not talking about creative stuff or doing things that it's kind of out there. That's a whole different scene, right? But this is, when you're doing marketing material, you're doing commercials, you're doing voiceover, you're trying to get a message across, got to make sure that you're not doing something that's going to take away that potential understanding of the message that you're trying to convey. You're paying for this time. Your client's paying for the airtime, or the better, the more clear, the more the message gets through, the better your business is going to grow because they were able to activate that call to action, right? So that is the magic trick to get your copy to fit in the right amount of space. I hope that helps. As always, in the comments here, you send me some questions. If you've got, hey, this is cool, but how about this? And I'm into doing some other videos and sharing this information. I hope it helps you. I hope it brings you more clients. I hope it raises your credibility and your brand with your clients and the folks that you work with. So thanks for watching. See you next time.